Alright guys, today we're going to be building the Mclaren P1 in Lego, and a couple weeks back I asked you guys if you could put 5 cars in a dream garage. What cars did you put in it? You guys gave a lot of replies, and one of the most replied cars was the Mclaren P1. Now what I'm going to do is build all 5 of those cars, and then put them all in the garage in a final video. So today we're starting with, not the most requested, but one of the most requested cars, which was the Mclaren P1. When I get some parts, we're going to get to work. Before we start this video, if you would like to build this model yourself, I have instructions for it. You can get them at my website. They are nicely optimized. They show how to build the car, and yeah, you can get them at the link in the description. Alright guys, we're going to be doing something different. I'm going to walk you guys through the design here as we go along, so we're getting a bunch of parts together. Now in building this, I realized that my parts sorting system it's really badly optimized at this point, and these first couple of parts on here, maybe the first, this whole clip I guess you'll see, this was just took forever to find parts, and so I should sort that out. Aside from that, it came together pretty quick. I made up a little model in Studio, in free digital building software, and so I had a vague idea what I wanted to do. Just connecting the basic stuff, the stuff that holds on the front and rear bumpers, and a couple parts of the front splitter, just some standard upside down building. And then a lot of this was just kind of gathering parts. You can see I'm doing some stuff on the side skirts here. Just putting some basic assemblies together, but not really connecting anything because I did not have them connected in the digital model. Eventually I got tired of trying to find parts one by one. I just found them all at once and then dumped them all here. And so rapidly here I'm going to go through a bunch of little assemblies. This angle is not the best. Throughout this video, the angles keep getting better and better, so trust me, by the end of this video, I think the angles are pretty darn good. In this angle, you can just see a lot of my hands and not much Lego. So bear with me while I put these little bits together here and there. But this is just more basic assemblies that will eventually come together and form the general shape of the car, I would hope. The rear does start to come together here, and this is the first part I started working on because I wanted to make sure that I could capture this angle, because I saw this angle of the car and I was like, this is such a sick looking car, I must recreate it, and we'll get more into that later. But the rear was the first thing that came together here, as you can see. Also made some work on the nose. Very kind of random colors here. I tried to keep it somewhat monochrome. As you can see at this point, building it in white, originally planned on light bluish gray. But I found that I had a lot more white parts, and I thought this car would look kind of cool in white anyway. And so I swapped it to white at some point here. Threw some stuff together here. As you can see, the rear is coming along quite nicely. The rest of the car, not so much, but just a bunch of random assemblies. Alright, so I had a prototype that I designed ahead of time, and I've basically rebuilt that here, but I realized I didn't connect anything, so everything's just falling apart. So I'm going to connect everything, and then we'll get back to you as to what we're going to do next. So let's do that real quick. So connecting this stuff, for the side intake, it's basically just a modified plate, studs in the side, clips in very nicely, looks very smooth, lines up. For these little slopes, basically just a clip with one of these 1x1 round plates with bar on the bottom that angles them very nicely, and they line up with the curved slope. Really love that curved slope piece. Really awesome part. Reattaching couple parts in the back. There's a lot of little adjustments need to be made here. There's a couple things on half plate offsets. Also redid the nose because none of the stuff could connect together, and so here I'm just modified that to make sure all the parts stick together. So at this point, most of it's together. I also came up with a solution to connect little angled tiles in the front, which for some reason I did not record. But I'm about to fix the roof because none of the parts I come up with are connecting. So I got some basic connections, as you can see here, kind of figuring out where it'll sit. This is one of the hardest roof lines to do because it's super curved, and I kind of didn't want to do like tubes or anything. I kind of wanted to try and get away with relatively normal parts. And so eventually I got this in place, and using a bunch of different curved slopes, I was able to get a relatively organic look, and I was pretty happy with it. And then I worked on getting the A-pillars in place, and I came up with this kind of wacky connection to hold it up at various angles, but I think it looks pretty good, and it captures the P1's very unique, I was going to say A-pillar, but the A-pillar just kind of goes up and comes back down into the B-pillar. Also got a wing on there. This is a placeholder wing. I did not have this part, which I want for my final design, so when I update this later, I'll replace it, but this roughly captures the shape of it and looks fairly cool. It just has a bunch of studs on the underside, which is not great. Alright, I think I waited a little bit too long between updates because now a lot of the cars kind of come together. Okay, the lighting is kind of awful. Hold on. That's somewhat better. I'm messing with it in Studio a lot, how the build looks, and so I'm fairly happy with shaping-wise how this looks. It still looks, well, there's a lot of gaps, the colors are janky, and there's a lot of unfinished bits. So let's see what has to be done. The rear is looking really good, actually. I love this view. This is the kind of the view that I was like, when I started building this, I'm like, I want to nail this rear angle of the car, and it's looking really good, so I'm very happy with that. Really happy with how this engine cover is looking. This needs one of these other wedge pieces, but I don't have any, so it's just a standard slope in place of that. This probably should be filled in These obviously need to be color changed. This gap has to be filled in. The front's still looking a bit janky. There's some parts that have to be replaced under here. And the headlights are a bit goofy looking, so I might mess with that some more. But once you fix those things, fix up the colors, we'll be good to go. So to fix these things that I've just mentioned, we're going to take the roof off yet again, and we're going to replace what is effectively a sunroof, I guess, with curved slopes, and that makes it look quite a bit more coherent. Now I'm trying to fill this gap in front. Originally I tried wedge plates here. Apologies that you cannot see it very well, but eventually I found that a 2x4 tile works absolutely fine here. And so modified the nose to be able to accept that. And also, since the last update to the nose, I changed the hinge from a normal hinge to a robot arm, and that allowed it to sit a bit further back. Just looked a bit better. Then I added these little assemblies in here. Basically fills the gap between the engine cover and the sides of the car. Makes it look a bit cleaner. Also updated the thing that holds the roof on. Too low originally, but took that apart, put it back together. Came together quite nicely. At this point, I also realized I wanted an interior, but I don't like building interiors in person very much because, I don't know, it's just hard for me to start working on them. So I got the studio and put this one together. Very basic, but works. You can look inside the car and it looks pretty nice, so I installed that here. At this point, there was a big gap under the engine cover, so I was like, might as well put some sort of engine detail. I looked up the real P1's engine, and it was this not the most engine looking thing ever, so I hopped back in the studio, because same deal with the interiors. I don't like doing engines in real life very much. Much easier to get them together in studio for whatever reason for me. And I came up with this very basic design. I threw this under the engine cover. Again, very basic, but just feels better knowing something's under there. It's a little bit of detail. Then I found the engine cover, just this design I had didn't fit at all. So tore it apart and put this back together, and also improved the colors. Now there are supposed to be these other slopes on there, but for now this works because this has taken way too long. I did not want to order more parts. Then because I needed some more parts without ordering them, I took apart the Castrol Supra from a previous video and started fixing up the front. I will say, for the sacrifice of all these other models, this thing just started looking better and better as the colors got more coherent. At this point, I also realized that this little slope was not fitting, so I was like, how the heck am I going to fit this thing in here? Because I tried putting this bracket in place, but found this just didn't look like the P1 headlight design at all, and so I'm like, okay, how am I going to get this slope in there? Eventually came with this solution, the jankiest thing ever, using these brackets and they connect to the center of the nose. Just fits in there, but I like the way it looks too much to care. Then we're taking some parts from the Baja truck, the beloved T100 Baja truck. We're going to use the A-pillars because I couldn't find any anywhere. And yeah, I really need to optimize my part sorting, as you can tell by this point. Got some wheels, looking really, really nice at this point. Slapped some wheels on there, and boom, this thing looking super nice and all white, very much more coherent. Only two little imperfections you'll notice on it are, well, I guess three. The corner tile on either side door is not the right color because I literally could not find any. I looked through my parts bins, I looked through the models I had on my shelf, couldn't find anything, and so I'm like, I don't want to order parts, I'm going to leave it the way it is, because like I said, when we come back for the final garage video, this will be featured and I'm going to have fixed it up a bit. There's still a sticker on this one, and I don't want to clean the residue off, or maybe by the time the garage video rolls around, I'll have peeled it off and got rid of the residue, but I don't like taking stickers off parts, so ignore it for now. Okay, imperfections aside, I am incredibly happy with how this turned out. This has been my favorite models for a little while. For a long time, I've been thinking about building the P1, but like I said, there's so many out there that I was just like, I don't know what another one would be like. But I was very happy that I managed to come up with unique designs that I still feel really capture the shape of the car well. I did manage to capture that rear angle like I wanted, and so extremely happy with that. I'm not sure what you guys will think of the headlight design. I feel like some of you might not like it so much. I personally think it's pretty good. It's unique, although I do get it if some of you prefer a more defined headlight design, like on David's model. But overall, super happy with how it's turned out. If you'd like instructions, they are on the website. Go check them out. I know I kind of held up on instructions for a bit, but this one, I'm making instructions for it. So with that, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate all you guys. I'm very excited. I'm very happy to be able to make these videos. So thank you for watching them.